interview is being conducted for The Journey, Personal Testimonies of Africans Living and Working in Scotland. This is an oral history project. My name is Dr. Sue Morrison and the respondent is Olivia. This is June 2022 and the interview is taking place at John Charity Studio in Mulgai. Thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed for the project.
Thank you.
For the record, would you please confirm your full name?
My full name is Olivia Ndoti.
Would you mind if I asked you your year of birth?
1976.
Thank you very much. And where were you born?
Zambia.
And when did you leave?
2005.
Excellent. In that case, could you tell me about your life in Zambia?
Wow. Way down memory lane. So basically, I think part of my growing was finished up in my adulthood of growing was done in Malawi. My mother was a diplomat in Malawi for nearly 10 years. So she took me and my brothers and sisters to live with her in Malawi because that's where she was working, promoted as a diplomat. But I think going back to Zambia, I finished my Form 5, which is like GSE, grade 12. Then the moment I just finished that, then my mom got that promotion and then we all moved to Malawi. So we were in Malawi for the past 10 years before I moved here. And when my mom's contract was finished, she went back to Zambia. I stayed behind back in Malawi. And I moved here when my mom was in Zambia. And I've been really finishing up my later adulthood in Scotland, mostly, for the past 17 years.
Where did you live in Zambia?
Lusaka, it's capital city. So I was born and raised in the capital city, Lusaka.
What's the city like?
It's fun. It's fun. It's beautiful. People are happy even when they don't have money. People are dancing even when there's poverty. You don't even recognize there's poverty because of that community. Kind of like the community need that is there. It supports each other compared to the UK. It's you basically don't know either. I think what I'm trying to say is the community we have in Zambia and the same I think with Malawi where it moved to is about looking after each other. You know your neighbors, you know the person living down the street or 3-4 streets away. There's that community link that you don't need permission to visit each other. You just turn up.
Lovely, thank you. And how does that compare to where you lived in Malawi?
The culture traditions are not too different. The language is slightly different, but there's a similarity in like they have what they call chichewa, and in Zambia it would be like nyanja, which is you can actually understand each other. And then they have what they call tumbuka as well. In Zambia we have so it will be the similar way of the time, the way they speak it. So yeah, I think there's been jokes about the only reason why Zambia, Malawi, maybe in Zimbabwe, the African countries which are very close together were divided was for people to have jobs like presidents, to have, just jobs for themselves. But otherwise it's like, there's no reason to actually divide that place. It's very closely, the traditions, the culture norms are very related.
You've been in Scotland for a while now. What do you miss about Africa?
I miss the food. I miss the food. I miss the community dances. I miss the community gatherings, I would say, because it's like every weekend. Like I said, there's no permission. You don't need a permission to say, you come to my house. You just go there. You just have a bath and, you're going to your uncle's. You're going to your neighbor. There's that just community love that's free flowing. You just get up and land up in someone's house, and they will welcome you. The food is enough, whatever they have, that's what you have. There's still laughter, like I said. I think people live in poverty, but the happiness is so much there.
What about art and colour and countryside?
Countryside, yeah, we have what we call lakes and rivers, and countryside. Our countryside are quite a bit scary because you can walk into like a long snake just crossing the street. So there's the fear of snakes, there's fear of other insects that can bite you. So yeah, you've got to be careful when you're walking down. It's either a snake will just be crossing through if you're walking towards through the woods. So it's not like walking the way I would walk in Scotland here with a peaceful mind. No, in my country I'll be watching out what's going to come out from the bushes. Is it a snake? Or is it something that's just going to bite me unexpectedly? Is it a fly that's going to sting on me? Or is it just a bee? Or so everything bites. But people are happy. People manage. Yeah.
Just for the record, what is your mum's name?
Ruth, and so should use Ndoti. Yeah.
And is she still in Zimbabwe?
No, my mum is late. My mum passed away in 2008.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, we last communicated on phone before she died. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
She's a strong woman. I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of how she's raised us. So yeah, we accept. Me and my sisters accepted that. But a young sister was living in Australia. She had gone to study. I think my mum sent her to study before when we were still in Malawi, and she's now settled there. So the way she just worked so hard for us was enough for us to let her go and rest. I think when she died quite young, but it's just one of the illnesses that could have been avoided. But I don't know, Africa's got that short lifespan. We don't have GPs like you'd have here to check your health all the time. The only time you go to the hospital is when you are actually unwell. You don't go regular checkups to the GP, but the only time you seriously, the doctor tries to find out what's brought you there is the day you're not feeling well. There's no community regular checkups as the way it would be here. Last time I checked, there was nothing like that. Yeah. I think that's what makes the lifespan for Africa to be short-lived, because people could be living in communities, but they've got a lot of illnesses that have never been checked. They could be even got cancer, could be something else. So when the person dies, the family just accept that that person got sick at that time, and then you got to be told maybe later on to say, oh, it was this and that, and it's too late to basically reverse what has taken place in someone's body.
What qualities do you think your mum taught you?
Wow, I think what my mom taught me was acceptance of any person, any human being, and not to judge any human being, whether they had money or not. Not to tolerate the life that you have, and be the person that extends the helping hand. So I think me and my family led more of the extension of that helping hand because of my mom's role position as a diplomat. Like I said, it was more of receiving people, more people at home, and be able to accommodate anyone that came to the house. They didn't need permission. It's my mom can even move you off from your bed because she wants someone that came to the house to sleep in your bed, and then you have to squeeze in with you. So it was treating everyone the same. So it's to treat people with respect and respect the elders as well, and don't put yourself above any other person. So the qualities was like really friendship, love, and just live life without basically complaining.
Good qualities.
Thank you.
Moving on to Scotland, what were your first impressions of Scotland?
With how my mom brought me up, to me was, these are human beings. I'm going to blend in. I'll blend in just like the way I met other British people that were living in Zambia. And my mom being a diplomat, I was able to sort of like take part in other kind of like diplomatic events. So I met a lot of white people through those events, and Americans and Germans, and sometimes my mom would send me to represent her because she never took alcohol. She was so tired, so she would ask me to go and represent her, and I was able to just see the life of just different community, in Zambia, it's what we call white people as expertise, experts who come to the country, expatriates. So meanwhile, when I came here, I was just a normal person I didn't even know I was regarded as a migrant until I started learning about these things. I didn't know what it meant to hear someone talk about racism, discrimination. These are things that never rang in my head or in our community, nothing like that. I learned about the word racist when I arrived in Scotland. After living in Scotland, I should say. That's when I started learning about this word that never even digested in my head. I've never heard of it in my country. Even the word discrimination, I think it never rang a bell in my head or within my family. It's now maybe with media, social media, people are able to hear about, how people can be discriminated, how someone can be racist towards someone, another human being. To me, I call it a human being because I think the challenge we have is we all have the same color of blood, which is red. We must be somehow connected as human beings and not seeing the difference of the outside appearance of someone. And previously, my boss in Malawi, my last boss in Malawi, she was British, Angela Sprong, and we got on so well. And basically, it was the people that interacted with were mostly British people living in Malawi. So with that as well, even around them, no one ever told me about this is what happens in our own countries. I only learned that myself when I arrived here for the first time.
How did you feel when you first experienced racism and discrimination against you?
I was refusing to accept it. Like I said, I took everybody as human beings, and because I'm coming from another community in Africa where I'd already seen people, I've already come across people, including my own boss, that were white, and they all lived happy. They were never discriminated and treated as part of the community, acceptance within treatment as well with people that are around there was just basically the same. So learning to go through it from me here, I always brought what my mom used to say, someone who's unhappy is like a sadist. Leave them alone, they're sadist. And I think I said, that's when before my mom died, I'd phone and just say, you won't believe what I went through. Someone said this to me. And then she should use this proverb, this one of the verses from the Bible to say, it's good that you're learning what you're seeing there. She never told me anything about it as well. I don't know if she's ever experienced that when she traveled. She had been to London before. So it's more like, that's what happens when you travel, you learn a lot. So it's good you're learning. But remember, those people are just sadists. That means they're dealing with their own issues. So don't let that affect you. So I took it just as well. Like, even now I still do that. If someone is being racist towards me, I easily brush it off because I feel that person should be having problems because they put so much hate towards me and I don't have any hate towards anyone. The fact I don't have any hate towards anyone, I don't discriminate. I'm at peace than the person who's actually doing that to me.
You're very generous.
Thank you.
Could you tell me why did you come to Scotland?
It's like unplanned journeys, things that just like health-wise, people can be moved just because they want to save you to be alive. And to me, I got involved in a very bad road accident in Malawi. So I was traveling between Zambia and Malawi, and I was involved in a very bad road national accident, which is like I fractured my spine. And the first months when I came out from that accident, I couldn't walk. So it was the only way that I could save you in my country that time was your family needs to have money, and it was private hospitals, and that's what my mom paid for me because she had money through private hospitals. I was actually attending an Italian specialist in spines who was based in Zambia. So it's a lot of money my mom used to pay. And then the last doctor I think that attended to me, I visited Dr. Livingstone's hospital, which is in Malawi. There was a doctor there who also attended to me. And then another doctor that had done his training here in the UK and at his surgery opened up one in Malawi. He's the last person who advised me now to say, you need to go through operation, but we can't do anything because at the moment Zambia and Malawi at that time didn't have CT scans. So it was through just basically traveling to say, get the CT scan and then we can see what we can do. But again, we won't be able to do a proper like operation on your spine until we know if because my spine is kind of like had collapsed and was just learning through physio to start walking. So it had been a long journey. So it's from like 2004, I had the accident. So that's how I came here in 2005 I had big scans and hospital letters. I came through London and remember going through the border check, and it's like they looked at everything I had the visa to come here, and through that's when my life started. It's like I knew a cousin that was in London. I stayed there, but through the traveling of undergrounds with my spine, it wasn't too easy for me. And then friends that were in Scotland that I knew, I had to move to Scotland. And then Scotland was like more spacious, like, I can walk without being bumped into. Because each time I walked, I have to watch who's behind me, because I feel like if they knock me on my back, I'm completely back on the ground. So 2005, I came immediately registered with a GP in Scotland as well. And it started from there, but I think I had no clue of an idea of how the NHS runs, how long the waiting list will be. So it was more of just getting the CT scan, and after that, leave the country. But again, it went on. So 2005, I think I got kind of like my final decision about my back in 2008. And that's a month my mom was actually sort of like, was passing away. And when I spoke to her, she said, I'm giving up everything, I'm returning. She just says, no, you're still young. You have to think about yourself. Let them tell you if they're going to operate or not. And things like that. And there's a doctor from Togo in Malawi as well, specialized in bone, that I used to communicate with as well. He used to communicate with me and tell me to say, let them really fix you, because you're going to have an agony lifestyle for the remaining of your lives. I'm still in pain, but it's through what I've had was being managed with pain, because I think my spine decided to heal itself in an abnormal way, and all these things. To cut the story short, was I'd never thought I would end up living in Scotland or in the UK. I loved my job in Malawi, actually, because I was working as a classroom assistant with my boss, who was English, and Angela Sprong. It's getting paid per hour, in fact. So it's more of, I was getting good money. And I think it was a way of, she had to give me leave. I'm giving you 2 years, because she knew how hard I was working. 2 years, just get your body back at least somewhat to normal, because I can see you're in pain. Because she did understand. So she had actually given me 2 years off from work to say, 2 years, just get to see the doctors, get everything done. You're a strong person, you're young, and you can't be going through this. And this is how, so my life actually intentionally became something that I never wanted. I had other big plans to basically live my life. So,
did you have the surgery?
We're still going through discussions. So you're looking at from 2005 I arrived, and I think the decision to look at whether going through surgery came up in 2008, and was more of going back. I have to go back in hospital for like 6 months, and then 6 months to basically operate and be able to, for me to live in hospitals, like taking me back where I might, either 1% chance I might end up in a wheelchair. So there's been that kind of like struggle for me to accept, and still doctors are managing me with just pain relief. I'm always like, I've got bad days and good days, but I think that the strength of my mind and just the determination to focus on, I think I've accepted to live with the pain. Accepting to live with the pain, it's helped me to do things that I'm able to do. And having my son Ried, who's also autistic at the moment, became another care, whereby I'm caring for him and I'm caring for myself. So caring for him gave me a bit of extra strength, because I want to see him happy. I want him to understand what he's going through as well. I want to support him. So that as well as even kind of like giving me some empowerment, but again, it puts pressure on me. But I think you need to accept that this pain will be part of me for a long time. if I refuse that, then I'll struggle. So it's this accepting to live with pain, managing it, and being able to do other things. And support other women's.
So you came to Scotland, you had these back problem, major back problem. What did you do with your time?
Volunteering. Like I said, I had an active mind, coming from being raised by a single mom who very active with her job as well. So to me, I think yes, my mom had her own job, but I've always been active. And I used to be, I think from the doctor's point of view, my spine survived because I've always been in sports at school. I've always been running. I was in high jump, 200 meters, 400 meters. I used to run in competitions like big stadiums in my country. Played netball. I tried basketball, volleyball, shot put, javelin, everything that had to do with sports. I just wanted to be on the field. And I've been in boarding school as well. So it's in boarding school I carried on with my sports as well. And I've had a very good sports captain who really kept on training me to do things. So then they say that because of my spine, my bones being strong from the running, that's how my spine survived. Otherwise, it could have completely collapsed. So it's like I've got strong bones. They've decided to heal in a different way. But yeah, whatever I've been doing since I was young helped me to survive the tragic accident that I had.
Thank you. So when you were in Scotland, did you continue studies or work, or what else did you do?
No, you wouldn't be allowed to study, I think, if you're not a student, and with it comparing to the type of visa that you have, you wouldn't be allowed. So I think that's a different battle that I studied with. My lawyer started helping me with, for me to study, I needed a student visa, which couldn't be granted. And then it was now asking for compassionate leave to remain, which was refused, and leave to remain, which was refused, discretionary leave to remain, it was refused. And then it went on to like living in Scotland, you're growing in your life and you don't even see the years piling on, moving on, and you're just like, gosh, I've already done 10 years, gosh, I've already done 12 years. But through those years, I stayed active because I was volunteering from one place to another. I was just to keep active, to keep my brain active. I did community training through just what organizations were offering, like, could be even IT skills, could be employability skills, it could be just cookery classes, and could be community presentation awareness, and anything to do with training. I don't know how many certificates I've got. I've got my I've got this profile which is got like, look at it, I was like, I can't believe I've done all this. So all the work that I've done is actually, I've poured it into this big thing. But again, it's and through that, it's the love I received from other community members. The negative people did not impact me more, because the people within community groups that showed me love and acceptance, that I was like refugee-led organizations and other Scottish people, to me it was more powerful than the ones that were negative, or something that I faced on the bus, or someone discriminated me, or someone just screamed, go back to your country and things like that. Someone once said to me, go back to Cocoland. I'm like, what? Where's Cocoland? So I was like, where's Cocoland? Do you even know where Cocoland is? So I just like, and then I learned also because I knew that was hate crime. I came across, because we've been in kind of like community groups with police, where they'll tell you what is hate crime, what not to tolerate. So now I can just say, if you don't know what you're doing is hate crime, just stop. Otherwise, you end up in prison right now. I just need to make a call and you'll be picked up. But I'm forgiving you. Go on and live your life. Just get a life. So I've learned to just say that, get a life, because it's just like, how many times are you going to call the police? How many times, especially if you've gone through a lot, it's like, you just get tired to say. It's a lot of giving evidence. Some of the things you just deal with them, with yourself, and then you get on and just say, I was raised with love, and I'm just not going to let this challenge me, bring me down. Yeah.
What kind of volunteering did you do?
volunteering I did with mostly refugee-led organizations. So I think the first time I learned about people like asylum seekers was I came across one of the lady called Sheila Arthur, her community group. We did a project called Living Well in Scotland. So this was, I think, the project was to design how people who are asylum seekers can manage to live on the it's more like £5 a day they live on, how they can manage to live on. Yes. Yeah, so it's I think it's now, I don't know, it must have gone up to £37.75 a week, £37.75 a week. So let's just put it as £5 a day. So that's how much asylum seekers can live on, because they're not allowed to work. But now I think there's been that permission for the Home Office, but you must have lived here for 6 months. But all through that as well was to me wondering, how can people live like this in a developed nation? That was my question, because I could see that the people, the expatriates that came to Africa, within 6 months of arriving in Africa, they would have had jobs, they would have had a personal card holder, they would have had maids, what they call garden boys, security guards for their house. They would have been given a big mansion house which comes with a job. It was so quick to just more of settle down within 6 months, even 3 months maybe. And then when I came here, it was like, why are people from different countries struggling? And then I started hearing people have been here for years. For years they were never allowed to work, and things like that. So that's when I started more like getting involved, asking questions. Why should people live like this? Why should people live like this? And then I think because, again, where I was coming from, my mother being a diplomat, we were more like, I knew the community, there was a reason why that poverty was there. Partly corruption in Africa. We've got enough resources to support people. But again, the worst thing here is you don't have even a tree which has got fruits that you can walk by and pick something if you didn't have anything to eat. That's what in Africa is. They're eatable plants that you can just pick and go home and cook from the field. But here you won't find anything. Tomatoes you have to go to the shop. So £1 means a lot here than not even having any money in Africa. It's if you can even go and have something from your neighbors. And then worst thing here, maybe your neighbor doesn't even speak to you. So it was more like asking questions, like, seriously, I thought the UK was more developed to support people like that. And I was aware that the UK government was sending a lot of humanitarian aid to different countries. Africa was one of it as well. If this humanitarian aid is going to Africa, what about the people that are here? They are here. Why are they not being looked after? I started hearing someone didn't have a bus pass. And I went through that process. People were homeless. How can people be homeless when you are sending 1 million, billion or trillion to either Malawi or partly even my own country, Zambia, or other parts of the world that's been more like wars and things like that? Meanwhile, there was someone that was sitting here without family, which is still happening, and doesn't even have a £10. And I carried on with my volunteering work through that. So most of my volunteering work has been done through refugee-led organizations. And then I ventured out to even mixing out with learning about how Scottish people work. And if I'm going to be here and work with Scottish people, I have to go into volunteering into their offices as well to learn the system, to adapt. It went on for a long time. And then when I got my leave to remain, it's when I now applied to go to uni and things like that. Even uni, I missed out. I couldn't get a student loan or just qualify for SAS, the years I've lived here. And you argue, you've got a lawyer, it just doesn't change. You're like, who's really above this law? But again, to me, it was like, I'll still push myself through, even without a student loan. So I've been studying with a scholarship from the Carnegie Trust. They paid for my scholarship for 4 years.
Well done to you.
Thank you.
Seriously. And to get a Carnegie Trust scholarship is very prestigious.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was something that they wanted someone to have. I think you should have your mother should have been born here and things like that. I phoned them and spoke to them. My mother wasn't born here and my mother is late now. And I've got this place I need to study. I didn't qualify for student loan. I don't understand why and how. I can't explain why that student loan SAS has been refused when it's supposed to support me to better my skills. Why should something that should help me better my skills being refused to be granted to me? And through my studies in my classroom, actually, there's been people that they were given SAS and they dropped off, from the second to third year, I've stayed on until the fourth year without the student loan.
Not new.
Thank you.
Would you tell me about you set up your own organisation, voluntary organisation?
Okay.
Would you tell me about that, please?
Yeah, so I think setting up the Women Integration Network comes from my own life experience, my own lived experience of being in the community, juggling around, trying to find out where I qualify for this, where I qualify for that. Then I started identifying all these barriers that stop you to feel. That's when you start feeling like you're actually, because either you're not born from here, that's why these things are not, being provided for you, you don't qualify for them, and then you still ask questions, why should this not be possible when it's actually, this is a developed nation, and why should you not go through that? So I think through the lockdown now, I think remembering that there were people that basically were either asylum seekers and they were, so being an asylum seeker, you just say you're destitute because, like I said, £5 a day is not enough. Or refugees that are coming, that are new in the country, and I've lived all these years. So it was more like, I know they had stuff that I've battled with. So to support women through that was like helping to make it easy for them so they don't go through that process. And I think with a few friends that I know that I have met here, we keep saying to each other to say the other people that we're going to meet might live a better life and easy off from the barriers, because we're going to make them understand and how they can be patient, how they can push themselves while they're trying to integrate. So it's true that like the integration is there, yes, but the sense of belonging is not there because of the barriers. So it was like the only way I could support these women was to have an organization. The way I've been supported with other organizations as well. So during the lockdown, we set up like I am the one from someone, the lady called Carol from the Poverty Truth, because sometimes I would phone up organizations to say, do you have this? I've got someone looking for this. Do you have this? I've got someone looking for this. Then I think this lady Carol says, I think you can be supported, but you need to have this organization. So how do we support you so you can support other women? You've been doing this through just you using your own phone, through you trying to refer people, but why don't you have a base where you just do it yourself? And then we can support you. So you need to join me, then support me to do this. So she's a community development worker, and she's also been there like trying to support me. And I started bringing people together. We were in the room. We started with maybe 5 or 6 people wearing masks, sitting distant places, and we didn't more like advertise it more when we started last year in September, because we didn't want to be overwhelmed with women. So we were just like, right now, let's build this, the 6 people we had, let's build the 6 people we have, then expand later on. And then the pyramid offered us a space as well. So now I think it could be on our group, be maybe about 30 if I can reckon on our group. And then we formed the chat group. So the WhatsApp chat group is managed by me and a few other women who are there. So it's basically if someone is looking for something, clothes for the child or food, or looking for just places or asking about lawyers, we can provide information within that chat group. But now we said we're going to be, I think when the restrictions got lifted, we said let's meet every Thursday. If we're going to have to promote this, we're looking at integration without barriers. It's the only way we're going to have a sense of belonging. If we're going to be here, we need to have to feel the sense of belonging, and we need to help women, support them to be strong, feel empowered to take on things that they face when they're here. They can deal with them themselves. We don't have to be there sometimes. So it's really the referral process, getting empowered, meeting other women. So there's different countries within one network, and that's like, I want a group which is going to be Women Integration Network that doesn't exclude anyone. I want Scottish people on board, because they're going to tell us about the places that we don't know about Scotland. That's part of integration. Integration is like knowing what Scotland is or what the whole UK is, what goes on in our communities, what we don't know. They have the information, so we should have that. So bringing in people with different skills and women from different countries, and we've gone on and things like that. I met Josephine when I was getting my hair done the other day, and I started telling about what I'm doing. I'm like, I know I've seen some photos of you doing something and stuff. So again, it was a story of integration, the barriers, the challenges of being here, how Africans were scattered, how there's so many nationalities, but while we divided, if we have to embrace, if we're considered as new Scots, we should come together sometimes. You can go away, do your own things, but nah. I must have raised an issue to BMIS. I was at one of the meetings to say, let's have, if we're going to celebrate culture and diversity, let's book Hampden Stadium. It's like a football match, but it will be all the cultures that are in Glasgow. Let's find out how many cultures are in Glasgow. If we're going to promote diversity, let's use Hampden Stadium. Let's put up an event to celebrate our lives, our culture, whatever religion you are, but let all these organizations, countries come together in one stadium. Maybe Scotland will be able to see how many, nations are within Scotland. Beautiful gowns, beautiful artwork displayed, like football, but it should be culture, diversity, celebration. And to me, that's how we know we're celebrating diversity, and we can invite Scottish people so they can understand that these are the communities that we have as New Scots in our own communities. Maybe that will help reduce the discrimination, the racism that we have. It might not reduce, but at least it's just saying we are here, people are here, and you have to just accept that people are not going anywhere. So the Women Integration Network is actually meeting every Thursday, and it's nice to see. We for the first time we did a baby shower for an asylum seeker. So she started beside the baby box, which is at the NHS is giving. She went home. I think she's got a baby boy now, with clothes and things and new nappies and stuff. So she had something to start with. These are things she won't afford on that £5 a day. Of course her money will go up when she's got a baby, but still it's not enough. So it was buying things, and so we did we throw a baby shower for her, and then someone with a car within the group just got her and dropped everything off. So before she went in hospital, she had things waiting for her to start with her baby when she's been, and even now there's women from the group that are going to the house, like supporting her, taking food for her. And that's what the community does where I come from. Like when you come out from hospital, someone will be there to support you, with the baby, even while you take a rest and things like that, which mostly was not there. So she's having that part of her culture, her religion being done in her own home, which you wouldn't even know that, you don't feel the pressure to say, where's the rest of the world? I've got a baby and I'm just alone in this flat. It's hard.
I think that's fantastic work. That's all my questions. Is there anything you would like to add?
I'd love you to do. I think each time I speak to journalists, I remember my lawyer is telling one of the journalists to say, when you do an interview, redo it again and check if things have changed. Follow on from what you've done. If this has to raise awareness on what is happening, let's keep doing them. When we stop the good work that has already been done. So this is amazing work you're doing. And I was like, I've lived in Glasgow for 17 years. This is the first time I'm coming to Josephine's studio, and she's been around in Glasgow. We've been crossing each other's path, and that's what I'm saying. This is dividing us. We should try to come together, and she's doing things about African communities, African cultures. But again, we've got different spots of African cultures, and it's confusing. It's confusing. Yes, Africa is like a big continent, but again, it's confusing to the people that we're trying to express our cultures to. They wouldn't know Africa is a big continent. They just think everyone comes from one country as Africa, but it's different countries within that continent. And to make people understand, we need to be throwing these events in communities summertime is the best time to do that. Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much.
thank you for your work. Thank you for your work. Yeah.
We will do a follow-up. You just give me a date.
Oh, definitely. No, you're gonna have to come to the women's group. You're gonna have to come to the women's group and basically even just be able to record when we have the group on. Yeah, just observe and record and be able to see what's going on with the women. And we actually invite like public speakers to come to the group who've got expertise in. We had a local councillor come there, Eva. We've had an MP, Alison Thulis. We've had Police Scotland speak on domestic violence as well, women. So we've been bringing women speakers to come and speak to the group about this. So women should know that we have the support. You know, we're not just here, no one knows. It's making that visibility to them as well. You know, and these are our issues. So there's someone to answer back to say, all right, we're going on through here. This is what's going on in our life. What can we do? And things like that. We still have work to do, to be honest. There's still work going on forward. But like things like this, these are the only things that can raise awareness and change. Because if we stay silent and stay in our own bubbles, there's no way we're going to promote this integration. And even the reports, everything that's all the beautiful reports, research that has been done about integration is just going to be read about, but that should just really try to kind of like produce something of those scholars that have done something about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, Olivia.
You've got a lot to edit, so you have a lot to edit. Thank you.